So we're back at the house, got my drink. We're gonna go up here, and today we're gonna start on the turbo kit on this thing. So, oh no, is that cat prints? Or is that just, it's just water drops. Anyway, we're gonna start on this thing today, and hopefully, maybe even get it done. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But he's got a turbo kit for it. So we gotta get this thing out of the way, and we gotta get some stuff cleaned up in the garage, and then we can, you know, start doing it. So we'll do what we can to video what we can, show you what we got and all that stuff, and get his turbo put on for him. So once we get turbo kit on that thing, I think it's pretty much done with everything he wants to do for the car show season. So you'll have to come out and see it at the car show. I know it's going to be at the Tennessee show at the Crawdad Stadium in April. We just registered that thing for the Tennessee show in April, and the 4Runners registered. So we'll see if we get in. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. But anyway, let's get to work. All right, first step's get this thing in here. We run up on these boards just to make sure we have enough room to get a jack underneath of it, which we should with it aired up all the way. So we're gonna get this thing jacked up, put on some jack stands. We're gonna get started on this thing. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open the hood. We're gonna take the battery out. They said that's something you need to do, and then probably take the air intake off. All right, so we started. We got some stuff off. So took the nuts and washers off, and the whopper just pulled up on both sides, and then you got hex head bolt. Let's see what it is here. I got my wrench here in here somewhere. Star bit actually, not a hex head. Sorry. It's a T30. You got a T30 here, a T30 on the other side. Once you get that off, it's kind of wedged up underneath this, and it just pulls off, and then the tray underneath pulls off as well. To take the intake pipe off, which is that piece there, we unbolted that, unhooked this line here, unhooked the map sensor from underneath, and then this is for the PVC system stuff on the intake as well, which he needs to get rid of that, put a catch can on it, but it is what it is. So we got that off, and then you come in here, and this is the turbo right here. It's got a heat shield on it with a T30 here and a T30 down at the bottom. Close the heat shield off, it comes off. Dad's here in the Buick. Where? Dad drove the Buick today. But I got the heat shield off, sitting over here. So that's your bottom cowl panel, that's your top cowl panel. Got that, and then of course I took your little, they look like speaker covers, but they're just little covers. Took those off, those were on the top cowl. So let's get to it, get this thing out of here. All right, so what I went ahead and did is I sprayed all the bolts down for the turbo. Once you take the guard off, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. I went ahead and broke them loose. I took them all off except for that one, so that's the only bolt on here. So you gotta take this water line off, and you gotta take this water line off, and it come with new lines. And this oil line right here, I'm pretty sure that's the oil line. I'll have to look for sure. So you got 3 lines though that you have to take off. So we will we'll take that stuff off, and yeah, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm probably gonna go ahead and jack it up and get this wheel out and get up underneath of it and go ahead and take the downpipe off, take the wheel off, take the axle out, because they say the best way to do it is take the axle out. We'll have to put something under there to catch the fluid, so some of the time taking this apart is going to be taking the fluids out. So it is a water-cooled and an oil-cooled turbo. Is the water still on? Oh no, my water's been on all night. Anyway, unless Dad, he might turn it on. Anyway, it's a water-cooled and oil-cooled turbo, so you're going to lose antifreeze and you're going to lose oil. You're going to lose transmission fluid for pulling, because of pulling the axle out. He went ahead and got transmission fluid. I need to message him, let him know to get the oil and the antifreeze as well. And yeah, so let's get under, let's get this thing jacked up and get the wheel off of it and go ahead and start on this, getting everything ready. All right, YouTube update. We're gonna take the battery. We took the battery out, so take the battery out, take those off, take the terminals off, and then it's got 1, 2, 3 bolts. Pull it off. It's also got on this side, it's got 2 cables you gotta take off right there to pull all this out of the way, because this hose right here goes on to this little nipple right here. So you gotta get that off, pull that off. So once we've done that, we got axle out. So this is a 32 millimeter. It's got these two bolts right here that are 13. They're 13 millimeter. You gotta take those two off, and it's got this piece that goes on, holds the axle in place, and that's the axle. So this piece goes on right there, and you got two bolts there, or nuts, whatever. So the next thing is we're going to take this charge pipe off, and then we got to go in, and once this drains out some, which it's about done, I think, out of the axle. See where the axle goes in. We're going to go ahead and take this charge pipe off, and yeah, or intercooler pipe, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take it off, and that way we got more room. I did undo the down pipe. It's, if you see the bolts there straight up from it, there was just two bolts, easy to get to. You can get to them with a little small impact like this. Take them right off. So let's get this pipe off and go from there. All right, we got it out. So this hose right here is the one you had to take the battery loose for. I had to take the battery out because it runs up to the battery. And then you got your line there, line there. This goes in like this, goes in like that. So this is actually your oil, and this is your coolant. These are 17 millimeters, just so you know. And there's one there, and then there's one on the block. So let me see if I can show you that right quick. It bolts on right here. I don't know if you can see my finger or not. That bolts on right there. One line runs that way, and then of course you got your reference line. So this was for your blow-off valve, and this goes into your other one. There's your clip, little C-clip there. And as you can see, it's just a few bolts. Take your gasket off, like so. There it is. And also what we done is the down pipe has bolts here and here, which bolt here and here. And take that loose, and you can slide this down pipe way out of the way. And so with down pipe out of the way and this axle gone, you can get to everything. So there you go, y'all. Let's get it all put back together. All right, so look here, we're getting there. So this piece, V-bands, that goes to the head, blow-off valve, your exhaust. I tried to clock everything the way it needs to be, but I also left I've made these where I can get to everything, so I can turn this stuff a little bit, and that way I can get to everything I need to. I did go ahead and put on this water line. They say to do that because of where it's at. It's a pain to get to because obviously this bolts to the motor right here, so that would be right against the motor. But you could probably get to it, but it's just easier just to go ahead and do it. One thing I do have to do is I have to take the factory oil drain off and put it on this. So we'll go ahead and get that off. Get that put on this, get the gasket put on, get it put on it. And then this side takes a, it's got a feed in here somewhere. Is it in there? I don't think it's in there. It's got, no, that's the gasket and two bolts. So anyway, it's got a feed line here, like an AN style feed line. That'll go in there. So let's get this stuff put on. We'll get the drain off of that one, put it on here. Get this line on, put it on here. And then we'll probably go ahead and set this up in there. And then it's got a external wastegate that'll bolt up here with a V-band clamp, which will go like this right here. Which, as you see, that works out good because you can still get to this clamp and this clamp. So let's get it on, get those pieces on, and set this thing back up in there so we can start clocking this stuff how we want. And as you can see, this piece here has a reference line that comes out, so you won't have this line anymore. Let's see. You won't have this line anymore. This line will actually run over to the wastegate side on that side. And then you won't have, there's a blow-off valve line that goes on the other side. You won't have anymore because it's got an external, or not external, but external wastegate, external blow-off valve. So yeah, this line will actually hook into here. So we'll have to clock this how we want. They come with fittings, different fittings to put on it. And anytime you do this, I'm going to use Teflon tape for this stuff. So here's what it is. That looks like it's good and tight. That's a water line. It's oil, oil out, water, water. So let's get this thing back together, y'all. All right, let's get started this morning. It's the next day. See what we can get done. We're gonna get on. I took the wastegate off, which goes right here, because I had to get the fittings put in, whatever I did with it. Set it down, here it is. So I had to get the fittings in it for him. So a fitting and a plug. This thing has water ports on it, I'll be real honest. So as I was saying, sorry my battery died, I had to put this fitting in. I don't understand the water ports on these. I've not ever seen water port on a blow or on a wastegate. It is what it is. So we got that in, we got this ring in. So now we just got to get it up here, put on the car. That's gonna be fun, trying to get that mash where it's at, because you got to go in here and pull it towards you as you tighten that up. So get that on. I figured out the orientation of how we're going to do the I don't know where that is, down pipe for the wastegate. So I figured that out. So start getting this thing back together. Let's get it back together today. Obviously, you see we pulled the front bumper off. So he's got a radiator support we're gonna put in, and it's got brackets to where you can hang these horns back up instead of being tied up like they are. So we're gonna get that done. We'll get that put on. Air cooler back on. He's got a new charge pipe. This thing's pretty nice, y'all. It's like, maybe you can tell or not. It's a pretty nice pipe. He's got it. So get all that stuff on. Let's get to work here. All right, let me show you one thing you run into issue-wise. You see this hole right here? That is for a boost port, right? So the problem you have is this is the screw that comes out of it. This is I have no idea. I've been to 2 different part stores and I cannot find the correct threads. It is very small. It's in between an M6 and an M7. So we went and got his oil, we got his antifreeze, we got his filter, got tarp, paint brushes. Hold on a minute. This is what's in the factory turbo. This is an M8 by 1.0. So unfortunately what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to drill and tap a place on this turbo housing, which I'm very nervous about, but I've done it before, not necessarily on turbo stuff. I've done it on other stuff, but I bought this. This is a M8 by 1.0. I'm gonna take this out, make sure this tap runs into the factory turbo. And once I establish that it does, we'll go ahead and proceed with drilling and tapping a place for this fitting. And then on the flip side of it, we'll put that screw back in where it was. So let's get to it. All right, so we got our little hole drilled there. We're gonna put our fitting in, tighten it up, be good to go. All right, I'm gonna be quick about this, but anyway, I got that tap in, run it out. I run this over to the wastegate, because this one goes to the wastegate. This one will actually just dump out into the intake tube. Right here, it's just excess air. It's recirculated air. So all I gotta do it come with everything to do it, but let's get the intake pipe on and do that right fast. I wanted to show you all this piece too. It's actually a piece you gotta drill through this boot, and a vacuum line comes on here. So your boost controller pushes over the compressor side over to the boost controller. Well, when you let off or whatever, the boost controller, the excess air that just goes by it will go into here. You'll know what I'm talking about. I can't explain it, but anyway, it runs down and then it's got this clip on it to hold the nut from backing back out. So we're gonna put this boot on to the intake, put it down through there, and put it on, and then put the hose on. Okay, y'all, so we got this back on. We got this cover back on. Under here, the way this works, it goes into that. There's that piece I was talking about, the hose. It goes into here. You do have to trim this boot, obviously. If you've ever done anything like this, you know the boots always ain't 100%. So I had to trim the boot a little bit to get it to slide forward enough for everything up top to bolt. But we're getting there, y'all. We gotta put, I'm gonna put the charge pipe on. It runs from there over to the intercooler. I'm gonna put it on and get it mocked up, get the blow-off valve on, and then we can put the axle in and start putting this front end back together, and then we'll work on this radiator support and stuff afterwards. All right, y'all, we're getting it on here. I think my camera's dirty. Anyway, it's whatever. So we put this bar on for him. It bolts here. It's got bolt there, bolt there. These horns bolt right here. So I'm gonna get them bolted on as well. That way they're not just zip tied to this, and zip tied over here to this. It actually has little places to put the horn. When he put this on, it's just got 2 places there for mounting for something. But when he put this on, it didn't have places for the horns. I did not install this for him. But we did just put this bar on. Dad helped me. This radiator's got two, is it two places, Dad?
Yeah.
It's got two little holes. You gotta get it in there. If you do not, this thing won't raise up all the way. And then you end up with a gap right here with a bolt hanging down if you're just like, oh, well, it holds. Not gonna say how I know that, but anyway, radiator's got two things up there. You get them in that, this will slide up. You could probably do it yourself if you had a jack, you know, or if you took the radiator and stuff out, which we didn't. If you had a jack and stuff, you could probably easily get it up in there, hold it up, do that while you jack it and get the bolts in there. But I had Dad help me. He put the bolts in while I held it up, and he got the radiator lined up. So got this in, got his bar in. Now this radiator support matches this bar. I'm gonna clean everything up. Before we put the bumper on, we're probably gonna put the bumper on last. We got some things going on with this pipe. It goes like this right here. Well, the piece that they gave me for the blow-off valve is somewhere. Anyway, it's almost made like this. If you didn't have a blow-off valve that was external, you could put a boot here and get it to work. But with the piece for the external blow-off valve, it's made longer. It's right here. So it's made like this, which would go in here like this, right? And come around, or like this, go like that. Probably goes like that and comes around. But the problem is this piece is long, see that? So probably gonna end up having to take it to my buddy that does aluminum welding, because I don't have any gas for mine or anything. So I'm gonna talk to him and probably cut this off here and cut this end piece off and weld this piece to here. If I had a way to bead roll it, I could just cut this off and bead roll it to match that. But if you don't put some kind of bead roll on this end piece, it will not hold. Will not hold, especially under boost. I think this car is going to make, like, on the turbo, it's on 20 something pounds of boost. So I don't think it would hold. I don't want to chance it. I'd rather just take it somewhere, have this piece welded back here, or if I can find somebody to bead weld that. But you'll see what we decide as far as everything and go from there. Okay, y'all, so I was wrong on that pipe. Just so you know, if you ever do one, this pipe goes here, comes down, around, bolts right there and right there, runs in, and it's got a 45. And the other pipe actually went here. This boot was big enough to make this turn, and then it runs up and you got your blow-off valve here, and it runs up to the throttle body. So that's my bad thinking about that. If I even showed y'all what I was thinking earlier, I think I did, but I was thinking that this pipe was like a universal pipe. You could use it with or without a blow-off valve, but I was wrong. Anyway, so now we got that on. We got this tightened back up. You got to take this loose and let it fall down a little bit to get this up in there the way it needs to be. So now we got that in there, and it went from this pipe, little flat pipe here that run through there, to a big round pipe. So got that in there. We're gonna go ahead while it's up. I'm gonna get the drain pan under here, and I'm gonna drain this oil. And then while the oil is draining, I'm gonna work on putting this axle assembly back together, which shouldn't be too awful bad. So we'll see. All right, so we we'll pause that. We changed the transmission fluid in this thing, and this thing has, you can't see it. It's got a drain plug on the bottom. Sorry about the light. It's got a drain plug right here, and a fill plug is right up above it. So always take the fill plug out just to make sure you get it out, and then you take the bottom one out and drain it. We done that, and then we drained it, and then this takes DCT transmission fluid. He's gonna change this to Motul later. He just wanted to get this because nobody around here sells Motul, and he wouldn't have any. And then I used this to put it in with. So done that. So now we're gonna tighten that up, and then he's going to get the tune. He'll be back over. We're gonna start it up. All right, y'all, we're about to start this thing up. I'm gonna pull these clamps off. We put 2 battery chargers on it because one of my chargers wasn't working 100% right. So let's See if it works, I guess. All right, y'all, we got his bumper back on. Got everything lined up. This thing isn't flopping anymore. This thing isn't flopping anymore. This bumper's nice and secure, so let's hope he keeps it that way. Hopefully, if anything messes up on it or whatever, he'll let us know. But we got it all. This was actually pulling away from the fender here, so we got it settled up for him. Everything's lined up. Let's get this thing off the jacks and get it out here. All right, y'all, here he goes. He's gonna go drive it, do some data logging so he can send the tunes off to the guys tuning the car for him. So he's gonna go drive it around, get some data logs, and then after, y'all know how that works, or you probably do. If you watch this channel, you do. So he'll data log, or he'll drive it, send the data logs off to the tuner. The tuner will look at everything, fine tune everything, send it back to him. So anyway, it's done. Appreciate y'all watching. See you next time.